Good morning. Welcome to class. So this is my read aloud. Hopefully you are one of my virtual students on a normal day. So that would be the 16 of you. If not, if you're in my regular face-to-face class on normal days, you need to watch the other recording. We are in different chapters. All right, so I am joining you from our class library today to read to you. And we are ready for Mrs. Twit Goes Ballooning Down. Because if you remember, last time we read, Mrs. Twit was ballooning up. Mr. Twit cut the rope, tying her feet to the metal ring down at the bottom. The balloons carried her high up into the sky. And the last thing he said was, at last the old hag was lost and gone forever. So, let's see what happens with Mrs. Twit Goes Ballooning Down. Mrs. Twit may have been ugly, and she may have been beastly, but she was not stupid. High up there in the sky, she had a bright idea. If I can get rid of some of these balloons, she said to herself, I will stop going up and start to come down. She began biting through the strings that held each balloon to her wrists and arms and neck and hair. Each time she bit through a string and let the balloon float away, the upward pull got less and her rate of climb slowed down. When she had bitten through 20 strings, she stopped going up altogether. She stayed still in the air. She bit through one more string. Very, very slowly, she began to float downward. It was a calm day. There was no wind at all. And because of this, Mrs. Twit had gone absolutely straight up and now began to come absolutely straight down. So, where is she going to land? Make a quick prediction. As she floated gently down, Mrs. Twit's petticoat billowed out like a parachute, showing her long knickers. So now this book was written quite a long time ago, so these are different words for clothing. A petticoat would have been some of your skirt layers, so you can picture them filling with air and blowing out like a parachute. And knickers was kind of like your undergarments or your underpants. So that's all being seen from below. It was a grand sight on a glorious day, and thousands of birds came flying in from miles around to stare at this extraordinary old woman in the sky. So here she is. Down she goes. Still got her cane. This chapter is called Mr. Twit Gets a Horrid Shock. Mr. Twit, who thought he had seen his ugly wife for the last time, was sitting in the garden celebrating with a drink. Silently, Mrs. Twit came floating down. When she was about the height of the house above Mr. Twit, she suddenly called out at the top of her voice, Here I come, you grisly old grunion, you rotten old turnip, you filthy old frumpet. Mr. Twit jumped as though he'd been stung by a giant wasp. He dropped his drink. He looked up. He gaped. He gasped. He gurgled. A few choking noises came out of his mouth. Ugh, he said. Arg! Ouch! I'll get you for this, shouted Mrs. Twit. She was floating down right on top of him. She was purple with rage and slashing the air with her long walking stick, which she had somehow managed to hang on to this whole time. I'll swish you to a swazzle, she shouted. I'll swash you to a swizzle. I'll gnash you to a nozzle. I'll nosh you to a nazzle. And before Mr. Twit had time to run away, this bundle of balloons and petticoats in fiery fury landed right on top of him, lashing out with the stick and cracking him all over his body. And actually, that is it for today. I know it is a very short read aloud. There you go. I know this picture is a bit chaotic. It's hard to see, but she's landing right on top of him. All right. I hope you have a wonderful e-learning day. Today, our entire class is gone. I can actually show you what our classroom looks like these days. So, normally there's 12 kids in here, but today it's just me. So, we will have our Google Hangout. Check on the website for the times. Check on our Google Classroom for the link just before the Hangout begins. I hope to see you all there.